What's up, everybody? This is December the... What date is it?
20th.
This is December the 20th, 2013. I'm your host, Soccer Dave, David Kitchen. Joining me, Dave Loughran and Mike Leone from Roto Experts. Guys, how goes it?
It goes.
Pretty good.
We're here, and we're not going anywhere. We have a big night for NBA, so there are some qualifiers out there. There is the Worm on our sponsor, DraftDay. I want to make sure that we give them a shout-out. And DraftDay, we had 3 people that won the Target game, and that won it, maybe 4 people. Wow. I missed it by like a few points because of Blake Griffin, but still, those Target games are fun. Did any of you guys get screwed by Blake Griffin on Wednesday?
No, he saved my life, actually.
He saved your life?
In the qualifier, in the Draft Street qualifier. I mean, I didn't qualify, but I was sitting in 5th place, which was a nice payout, and I had 3 guys. I was telling Mike earlier, 3 guys right below me, between 3.5 a point, all had Blake. 6 minutes left. He comes back in, fouls out, everything's over. It was wonderful.
Boo that. He did not save my life. Not by a long shot.
Saved it.
Mike, what's your feeling about tonight? You seem kind of quiet. Is that because you're nervous?
I'm nervous. I'm getting ready for this qualifier, But I'm feeling pretty good about tonight, feeling pretty focused. If I could figure out, I know Devo has been talking about in the chat, that Lakers T-Wolves game is a really interesting one. There's going to be a ton of value there, just depending on if you choose the right Laker.
Yeah? Is that it?
I was kind of giving you a segue to talk about that, and you didn't seem like you wanted to take it.
I thought... It felt like you were like stopping mid-sentence. That's my fault. I thought that you were frozen, so I had to look over. You're not frozen. Al Smizzle messaged me last night, and I was watching Pacific Rim. Pretty good movie. Anyways. But I got back and I saw Al said that he was very much confused by the line. It was -2, and then it went to -6.
I'm still confused by it, which is, I don't know if it's trapping me in, but even 6 is tighter than I thought it would be.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, if this game stays close, Love could put up huge numbers. I really like Rubio. Drew G-chatted me earlier. He goes, Rubio might have 8 steals going up against this point guardless Lakers team. And you look at the Lakers, I mean, you've got Nick Young, Jody Meeks, Wesley Johnson, and Henry, all for, 4 guys pretty much for 3 spots. So they're going to see a lot of playing time, increased offensive roles, and most of those guys are really cheap in a lot of places.
Yeah, you have... You just have, obviously, if someone's tuning into the show now and they don't know, Kobe Bryant is going to be out. So we probably need to say that for those that don't realize that. They did sign Kendall Marshall, and he is going to dress tonight. Kendall Marshall is terrible. He's terrible. He cannot shoot at all. All he can do is drive and pass, and they're going to be just letting him shoot all day. But I doubt he's going to get that much run tonight. Swaggy P, Davis's favorite player, who's actually been playing well of late, is going to get some run at point guard. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, the line of -6 is...
It's baffling.
It is baffling. That was the word I was going to use, and you just took it from me.
They play better at home. I think if this were in Minnesota, it'd be 12 maybe. I mean, I don't know. I think that there's no chance that they even keep this close. I know a lot of people. I was actually talking to DFS Almanac last night, and he thinks that it might stay tight, and maybe it will. Maybe I'm in the minority, but I don't think it will. And that's why I like Rubio a lot. I'd actually mentioned that he should have 8 or 9 steals, but you know, he might have had more if it were against Kobe. You know, he was turning the ball over 48 times a night.
Yeah.
So I think going up against Henry, regardless, Rubio should have a solid game. And the good thing about this matchup is he shouldn't need to accumulate a lot of points in order to meet value. Now, Kevin Love, on the other hand, worries me though. The matchup's great. I love the matchup. I just worry that with that steep price tag, we could get burnt by him if this gets out of hand. So, yeah, I don't know. That's where I'm at on that.
Well, it certainly wouldn't be the first time that people got burned by Love. I guess you could take that multiple ways. Dinklink. Man, that should be his new nickname, not Swag Dink. It should be Dinklink. So anyways, we got a Dinklink from him with the 113-90 score, and this was earlier this year. I guess like the probably around the 4th or 5th game. But Rubio 12, 10, 14, and 5 steals.
Yeah, 58 fantasy points on DraftKings.
Holy crap. Wow. That's a lot.
It is.
Let's talk about some of the other news, though. Ty Lawson going to be a game-time decision tonight. I guess he's not feeling well, but this game is going to be another fun game tonight. You have the over-under at 205, and so playing against the Suns, this looks like another game for Dink's man crush, Eric Bledsoe. And then the Nets against the Sixers is the other sort of high-scoring game. The last time that these two teams played, I played a lot of 76ers, and they got blown out. It was terrible, absolutely terrible. So take the Sixers at your own risk because they're bad. They're really bad.
They're better at home, though. I mean, they're bad, but 6 of their 7 wins on this year have come at home, so it's something to consider.
Yeah, I think the line the other night was over 10 when they played, and it's only 6 tonight. It's another one that could go either way, but I'm not really staying away from anyone in that game because of the blowout factor.
Carter Williams is playing, too.
Yeah, that also makes a big difference.
Do you think he gets the normal allotment of minutes tonight?
I think that didn't last time he returned from injury, didn't they just throw him back in there?
Yeah, but this is different, too, because it was an infection. So I'm not sure, it's not like he's on a weak knee or a weak leg. I mean, I know it had something to do with that to begin with, but the impression I got was that was no longer the problem and it developed into an infection that they were concerned about. So if that's the case and they were just waiting for that to disappear, then I wouldn't be concerned about the minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking it up. Last time he came back from injury, he came right back and played 34 minutes right away.
Right.
Obviously, it's not the exact same scenario, but I know on DraftKings he's got a pretty okay, reasonable price tag, 8,300, which is good for him.
Yeah, you also have this Kings and Heat game. We'll go position by position later. The Kings and Heat game is definitely the most lopsided game at home in Miami. The line's 10.5, but there still is a high over/under. Are you trusting anybody in this game, Dave?
Yeah, I think the game's going to be closer, and I think what's going to happen is, look, Miami is they're notorious for playing down to their opponent through the first 3 quarters, and then in the fourth quarter, putting on the afterburners and pulling away. Look what happened in Utah the other night. I rostered LeBron James, on a gamble, and he put up huge points against a Utah team because they let teams stay in it through the first 3 quarters. So I think I like DeMarcus Cousins in this game. And how about Isaiah Thomas last year? Put up 34 points in each of his 2 meetings against Miami. They went into double overtime in one where LeBron had 40 and 16. He had an 80-point fantasy game. So I think that you can trust some guys in this, and I don't really expect it to be as separated. I don't expect them to pull away as quick as the line says it should be.
Mike?
I'm not really on anyone in this game. I think if I were to take a guy from the Heat, it'd be Dwayne Wade. Sacramento's really low in defensive efficiency against shooting guards. Well, like you said, it's the biggest total of the biggest spread of the day. Miami's at home. I know Isaiah Thomas had those big games last year, but Miami in general usually does pretty well against opposing point guards. And I don't know, just the prices of guys, I'm just not really on anyone. I think, if you look at LeBron at small forward, I like Paul George tonight. His prices come down, and I'm just not really seeing the need to look at guys in this game.
Yeah, the only reason I mentioned Thomas is because he's 6,400 on DraftKings. For someone with his upside, that's significantly cheaper than he should be. And
yeah, I will agree with that. I mean, when I was making cheat sheets today for the site, that really stuck out to me. I threw him on his GPP play on DraftKings because that is too cheap for him given the amount of minutes he's been seeing.
Right, but if you want to save for play, you have Trey Burke for 63. So I think, but in tournament style play, I'm definitely on Thomas tonight because he can go off. He's shown that he can do it against Miami. So he's not safe by any means, but I wouldn't hesitate to throw him in a GPP.
Some other games of note is, and going back to the Miami thing, you have, Miami is just ridiculous as far as pushing the point guard up high. I mean, they really pressure the point guard in the half-court defense to make them go high. I don't know if I'm comfortable rostering Isaiah Thomas tonight with all the other value out there. Maybe like in a qualifier, but man, that's just against Miami where you don't know if he's going to play the fourth quarter. It seems like everyone's is sort of volatile in this game. So that'd be my take on it. We'll revisit later in the show. Raptors against the Mavericks or at the Mavericks. This is going to be definitely an interesting game. We'll talk later about some of the plays on the Raptors side specifically I want to get into. Houston at Indiana. Vegas doesn't like Houston in this game. They like them to score 96 points, which I guess against Indiana is not bad. But I definitely want to get your take on Paul George. He had a terrible first half and then really put it together in the second half on Wednesday. Came out with a pretty good line when all was said and done. So he's definitely on my radar tonight. And then the Jazz at the Hawks. You have Millsap playing against his old team, which is going to be sexy. Seeing the bigs go up against the other bigs. The Jazz just are playing. They're playing really good basketball as of late. So it will be fun. The Bobcats and the Pistons. This is like kind of a meh game. Maybe if you want to roll out Drummond, I just don't know if I trust a lot of people in this game. Thoughts on Bobcats and Pistons, Mike?
Yeah, I'm with you. Drummond's in a weird spot because his price is kind of intriguing on a few sites, but I might throw him in a tournament play just because I think at that price he could, deliver you, a ton of value. But if you look at his game log, he's really up and down, and it's kind of hard to predict. I kind of only use him when I'm sure he's going to play a lot or I'm sure he's going to absolutely dominate. So I'm only looking at him as a tournament play, and I don't really have anyone else. Jeff Taylor is another cheap guy, but I think with the cheap Lakers, you don't really need to use him tonight.
Yeah. This last game, the Bucks against the Cavs, and tied with the game we just talked about for the lowest scoring game of the night according to Vegas. But you have the Greek Freak that is going to be starting again. He did absolutely nothing, and he got in foul trouble, and so people were kind of complaining about that. Well, then he got 2 overtimes, so you can't complain about his lack of minutes on Wednesday. The important thing, though, is that he was in the game and in those overtimes, so that speaks to Coach Drew trusting him. He's going to be playing again tonight against the Cavs. Thoughts on this game, Dave?
Well, the interesting thing is he played 41 minutes before fouling out. And I know Brandon Knight took that game over, but he only attempted 3 shots. And I don't care how many shots somebody takes. That's definitely. I mean, that's worrisome, and I think he'll obviously take more than that tonight. I'm expecting, if he's taking 3, maybe 9 or 10, which would be enough for someone like him. But OJ Mayo is back tonight. He's going to come off the bench, so I know Antetokounmpo, I think that's right, is he's starting. So yeah, I like that. But it's definitely I don't want to say cause for concern, but it's of note. It's a noteworthy development that Mayo will be playing tonight. I actually like, and I know I'm in the minority. I spoke about this last night with some guys on Twitter. I like Middleton tonight. Cleveland has allowed the most fantasy points per game to opposing small forwards. So if Middleton's in the starting lineup, and I'm assuming he will be, I definitely think he could, give you exactly what you need and easily meet value. And on many sites, he's the same price, if not less expensive than the Greek.
I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
Yeah?
Yeah. I did
All right.
roster Chris Middleton on DraftKings, though, on Wednesday. Of course, that was with the Mayo news. And obviously, Ursan's going to be sidelined.
Yeah, Ursan's out. I think Butler is a game time decision. So
Yeah.
that could throw things too, because there could be still a lot of minutes available. Mayo comes back, but you take Ursan out, who I know was double overtime, but I think he saw like 49 minutes or something in the last game, so he had to play upper 30s even in regulation. And I still like John Henson. I know his price is coming up, but Cleveland, I think Cleveland's bottom of the pack in defensive efficiency against power forwards. Henson's pretty much everywhere. He's averaging about a fantasy point a minute. And now you look, who do they have bigs? I'm looking at it. You've got Ekpe Udo, you've got I'm not even going to try and say his name, Raduljica.
Radujika.
Yeah, exactly. So, Henson's got to play big minutes. So, given his per minute production, I think he's another guy that just his price isn't adjusted all the way up where it should be. I'm also on the Greek Freak. I think he's just too cheap. I think Dave makes a good point about some of the risk there, but the price mitigates that. And if you're feeling really risky, OJ Mayo is 6K on Draft Street. I wouldn't do that on a main team, but on a qualifier team, I could see it. Dave, you're disgusted, I know. I'm entering in a second qualifier team just to play him now.
Is there anybody on the Bucks that we don't want to play tonight?
He just said his name right there. So.
Rotations, baby.
Oh no, I know. It's still the Bucks. Maybe the Greek Freak for me tonight. Maybe Henson. But when you guys are talking about Middleton and Mayo, it really it turns me off.
Well, hold on, Dave. Middleton attempted 22 shots the other night. He played 52 minutes. Okay. And that was with Ilyasova in the game. So if this guy is like bottom barrel, I don't see why there's any reason not to take a gamble on him if he's going to play upwards of 40 minutes on the night. He grabbed 20 points and 9 rebounds last game. He shot 2 for 4 from 3-point range, 8 for 22 from the field. I don't see where there isn't value in this play with a depleted roster in Milwaukee.
And there might be some GPP value there. I just think that him and Mayo.
I said qualifier play for Mayo.
Okay. Well, you
still
said Mayo though, Mike.
To be honest, I'm high on Nate Walters tonight. I think he's a great play. I'm just joking with you. Put your headphones on. I'm joking, Dave.
Kitchen's gonna cancel the show.
So this has been the Fantasy Insight. We'll see you next week. No.
Without Dave Lochran.
Main teams, I'm only talking, Henson, Greek Freak, and then maybe Knight.
Even Knight with Mayo back, I just can't do it.
Ursan, and they're gonna have to play small because of that.
Dink says Larry Sanders. If someone plays Larry Sanders, well, they have what's coming to them.
What? Ursan played more minutes last game, then Mayo's going to play this game. I mean, you still are short on bodies.
Yeah.
3 guys came off the bench on Wednesday, and none of them exceeded, I think, like 17 minutes. So, and that's in a double overtime game. I don't know. The problem is that Larry Drew, when something goes sour in the first quarter, he's liable to yank his starters and just throw some bums in and tell them, all right, well, round out the last 36 minutes. So that's definitely a concern, regardless of who you play. He's done it to Henson. He's done it to a lot of guys. And as much as I love Henson tonight, that can happen. Now, I don't expect it to happen against Cleveland, but still, anything's possible. I mean, that entire lineup is risky. On the other side, though, if you want to talk risk-reward, take a look at Andrew Bynum tonight. Throw up a little more. But I'm telling you, this guy, if he plays 25, 26, 27 minutes against – Milwaukee's terrible against opposing centers. Maybe Varejao too. But I just don't like the minute difference. I don't like the disparity of minutes there. They're GPP plays for me tonight, though, at the right price.
This has been the Fantasy Insiders Buck Love, as we like to call it. Let's move on to the other side. You talked about Bynum. I agree. At 24 minutes against this front court, he is definitely a value play as long as he gets those minutes. He has shown that with even small minutes, he can do a lot of damage. Kyrie Irving and Waiters are both game-time decisions. I think they play. Certainly something, though, to keep an eye on. Have you heard anything definitive about their status, Mike?
I haven't. I just heard they're both game-time decisions. Obviously, Jarrett Jack is the guy to target there if Kyrie's out, especially if they're both out. But I haven't heard really one way or the other if they're supposed to play or not.
Yeah, so obviously if they don't play, this game is going to be like ugly. It's going to be like that Bulls game was with the Bucks of last week or 2 weeks ago, where it's like 70-68 or something like that. That's the one thing about two really bad teams playing against each other, is that they're so bad that you have a really good chance at it being a close game, lots of rebounds, and extra time with lots of bad, just on efficiency sites. Though some of these guys really scare me. So, certainly didn't expect us to talk about 15 minutes on why we love the Bucks. So let's, if I can get your permission, can we move on to another team?
I'd rather we didn't, but I guess it's your show.
It's a shame the Bulls aren't playing, so we can just fawn all over them too. But let's go back to this Lakers team tonight, and they are going to be shorthanded, to say the least. There's some talk in the chat about Marshall indeed playing tonight. Do we know what's going to happen? I mean, if Marshall plays, that kind of, I just don't see how he can play a lot of meaningful minutes. But he would take up room in that front court. Who do you trust the most, Dave?
Who do I trust
the most?
Yeah, I don't know if that's the best way to word it. I think.
Who do you not trust the least?
I think whose salary can we exploit the most?
And I think it's Henry. Oh, sorry. I thought you were actually asking me.
No, but I'm actually along the same line. Thanks, Mike. Why don't you just take over? I'll mute my mic and you can ride out the rest of this half hour, okay?
Oh, man. Rhetorical questions for the win. Go ahead, Dave.
I think Xavier Henry, definitely. Mike's screen is frozen on him laughing right now. But I think Henry's look, he's really cheap everywhere. So you have Nick Young, whose price has actually gone up a lot in recent games. So I definitely think he has the most upside. But if we're talking in terms of who can meet value and exceed value easiest, I think it's Henry tonight, especially on a site like Draft Street. If you're in a qualifier where he's like 7,800 and Nick Young is over 10 grand. So there's a big disparity in price there. And I think on a team where everyone is a risk, it's probably safest to go with the cheaper guys. So I think Henry gets the biggest boost, and I'd like him tonight, especially at the point because assists mean everything right now. With most sites evolving into the 1.5 points per assist.
I really want to get your take on Xavier Henry, Mike, because you were quick to jump the gun on that one. He obviously is minimum salary on most places and is expected to have at least a decent game. And he's playing at home. And as our good buddy Dinkpiece says, his splits at home are a lot better than on the road. So even more of a reason to play him.
I think Dink might be trolling us with that one, but yeah, no, for all the same reasons Dave said, I like Henry because he's the cheapest, and with him starting, it's a little bit, less risky than the other guys. So he's the guy that I would lock in first. And Jody Meeks isn't a bad play either. He's the second cheapest. Dave, you're laughing. You're throwing me off, Kitchen.
Sorry. I was looking at Dink. Go ahead.
I don't know. I'm done.
He's returning the favor.
Sorry, it's because I said that Dink said that Xavier's Henry's numbers were a lot better at home than on the road. He obviously didn't say that, and he gets his panties in a wad when you say that he said it. So that's why I'm laughing.
How about this though? Henry is shooting above 50% from beyond the arc at home. He's shooting 11.8% from 3-point range on the road, 2 for 17, and he's 15 for 29 at home. So that's a definite. That's great right there, especially on sites that reward extra points for 3-pointers. So he's shooting almost 50% at home from the field, like overall. He's definitely, I don't know. I like him. He's 57% from the free throw line. This should be fun, Dave. Put it that way.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. He actually had in that first game, he had 8 rebounds in 14 minutes. He was 1 for 8 and 0 for 4 from the free throw line, and this was at home also.
It's horrible.
So he didn't really shoot that well at home, but he is in line, I think, for a decent game. I like his game, and I think we'll see more out of him. He's not someone who I feel like has reached his potential. I mean, he's still pretty young. I think he's still like 21, maybe 20.
Young.
So still young.
22.
22. Sorry. He's still in play though. So even though he's 22, getting a little older, he's still in play. As far as this game against the T-Wolves, it's going to be a fun game. If Vegas says it's a 6-point game, well then you at least know that hopefully it's going to be close to the end. Like it's not going to be like a 20-point game. Like if the line was like 10 or 11, then you'd be like, okay, well this might be a blowout. But the fact that it's 6, even if the game stays within 12 points, even if you double that spread, then you still are going to have lots of the Timberwolves on the floor, and they allow points. I mean, they are high. Both these teams, high-paced teams, but you look at what Kevin Love did just like in the first quarter on Wednesday. Even if he only plays 3 quarters, he's going to tear it up. So Love and Rubio matchup or pairing, I really like. Even if you have to pay for Love, there are worse things than paying for Love, I always say. One of my life mottos. But we'll see. We'll see what comes out of that game. Obviously, he's going to be expensive, but with all the other value out there, it's okay to pay for some Love. Nets against the 76ers. Dave, being a Philly fan, you're okay with playing anybody at home?
Don't put words in my mouth. I'm okay with playing some of them, but
or is that Mike that said he was okay with playing everybody?
No, I was saying that they're. I don't want to say much better. Well, they are. They're not good at home, but they're much better than they are on the road, and that's important. But I was actually attributing that more towards playing the opposite side of that in Brooklyn. I think as long as Philly can keep this relatively close, And if you've noticed, they keep games close through the first half against Portland, against Brooklyn. There was another game recently where it's a 5-6 point game heading into halftime, and then the third quarter. By the end of the third quarter, it's a 40-point game. So you're going to get at least a couple tight quarters out of this, and I really do think at home that it'll stay close long enough. So Deron Williams, Joe Johnson, Brooke Lopez, those are some guys that I'm definitely on tonight. And all right, call me crazy here, and I am for saying this, but you know what? I'm not even going to mention his name. I can't steer people wrong because Allen Anderson, especially with Paul Pierce playing better, I can't even mention it. But he did have a decent game for minimum salary against Philadelphia last time out. But I can't do it.
Yeah. Should mention, though, that Joe Johnson missed yesterday for personal reasons, and he's a game-time decision for tonight. As Dink said, if he's out, though, definitely Allen Anderson. KG not going to be playing tonight. So you have Mirza Teletovic. That's not how you say his name, but that's the best I can do. Maybe it's Teletovic. Let's see. Let me look. Teletovic. Teletubby, as Dink says. He had a decent start the other night when Lopez wasn't playing and he got the start. Thoughts on Mirza tonight, Mike?
Mirza's a guy I haven't really looked into much, to be honest. I was more looking at Blatch and Paul Pierce in that game, but I'll have to see if he's starting. I mean, his last two games on Draft Street where he saw about an average of 25 minutes, he scored 15 and 24 Draft Street points, which for 6K is, good enough. And against Philly, pretty much anyone can have a good game if they see 20-plus minutes. So he's a good qualifier play and maybe even a good salary cap relief play on Draft Street. I didn't check what's his price look like on other sites.
He's minimum salary on DraftKings.
Yeah, he's minimum salary on a lot of places, so that's why I think that he could be a decent spot start tonight. Obviously, a lot of stuff's going to come down to these game time decisions. Mm-hmm. I just don't know if Lawson and Irving; those are probably the two biggest ones. I'm just going to assume that all these guys are playing, and if something happens, well, then the last 30 minutes are going to be hectic, to say the least.
Right.
Drew said that we need to have a camera on me during the last 30 minutes, like a live webcam, where people can see me freaking out. And you would see me freaking out. Sometimes I just have to get up and go to the kitchen and just grab a drink and come back and just kind of collect my thoughts. But it's if we had two shots, one a wide shot where I'm pacing around the room, and the other shot where it's zoomed in just on my face, and I'm just so intense going across 4 different sites trying to figure out 7-8 different lineups. That'd be gold. Do you get stressed, Mike?
Oh yeah, especially a night like tonight where I'm sending out lineup alerts too. It gets messy. And then it's a qualifier night, so I'll have a couple of extra teams to look at. I'm just hoping those get, like you said, I'm hoping those guys just play and I can stick with my original plan. But I think it's interesting tonight. I was talking to Steve Think Sports for Steve on GChat a little bit, and we were saying, on FanDuel, there's a lot of salary cap relief plays, and I think it's going to come down to picking the right ones. You were mentioning Mirza. There's the Lakers guys. And then if some of these guys that are game time decisions are out, where do you spend and where do you, cheap out is going to make or break your night.
And the one problem is that you have one 7 o'clock game. And on sites like Draft Street and FanDuel, that's all you need to lock your lineups in. So that can make things difficult if the Irving news doesn't come out till 7:15. But honestly, if it doesn't come out, you just got to stay off of him because I think he's dealing with an illness, right? And so is Lawson. So those are issues that they're you don't know. They're very unpredictable because we don't know the severity of the illness. So I think on sites like DraftKings, and other sites where you have that late game swap, you're going to have a huge advantage tonight over other nights where there's not a lot of injury news.
Yeah. For those that are just tuning in, we have 15 minutes or so left. Feel free to ask questions in the chat. Our man Daily Leaguer in the chat said that linked the status where Lawson is expected to play. He actually has a really, really good matchup tonight for what his price is. But I want to talk about strategy a little bit. Like on sites like DraftDay and FanDuel, where you have these positions locked in. Seems like tonight, Wednesday was a night to go cheap on the point guard position. So I went minimum salary on point guards. Tonight it seems like is the night to go cheap at the shooting guard positions, especially on FanDuel, where you have the Greek Freak, you've got Meeks and Henry, other options. Nick Young, all three of those Lakers are shooting guard eligible. So you could even stack two of the three and see what you come out with tonight. Brandon Knight, Kevin Martin, so much shooting guard value. I think that's where you can go really cheap and get your expensive plays in later. Thoughts on that, Dave?
You mentioned Kevin Martin, and this guy, man, I really gave him some love a couple games ago against Philly, and he was horrible. I mean, against a team like Philadelphia, he should have dismantled them, at least giving you 25, 30 fantasy points, but he scores 5 points and 10 fantasy points. So Kevin Martin, regardless of matchup right now, he looks completely different than he did early in the season, and I don't trust him. But aside from that, I agree with you on shooting guard. Joe Johnson on DraftKings is 5,900. If he plays, I think he's a must-play. 5,900 is really hard to avoid. But yeah, like you said, Greek Freak is cheap. Shooting guard is usually a very difficult spot, especially on sites like FanDuel, where you don't have you don't have eligibility for different positions. And I always think it's smarter to go with value on sites, or on positions like shooting guard, where there's usually not the best options up top. And then you can, you're afforded extra salary elsewhere. So I completely agree.
Yeah, I mean, you have Davis's boy, who we just mentioned, Monte. He said that Monte was going to have it all. Obviously, Bledsoe, who Scott also wrote about in today's Day Before Tomorrow there on the DraftDay strategy section, is a decent play. But, I mean, really, go cheap on your shooting guard and small forwards tonight and spend on the big men and your point guards. I think that's probably the way I'm going.
Yeah, I don't see why you would pay up for a guy like Monta or Bledsoe tonight on FanDuel. It just doesn't seem to make sense to me.
Oh, dang. Oh, Davis is throwing computers right now.
Well, if you just look at it, Henry's 4,100, Giannis is 4,200. It's just lock those cheap guys in, pay for Paul George at small forward, Darren Williams at point guard, and go from there.
Yeah, I'm with Mike too. It's not that I don't think Monta Ellis can have a good game. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there's other options out there that I feel more confident in that they'll have a good game, and there's more confident value plays that I have at the shooting guard position than I do have confidence at other positions. So I'm clearly not going to spend money on a position where I don't feel 100% confident with the play, where there's 5, 6 value guys under there that have excellent matchups and a pretty nice forecast for tonight.
Yeah. Positional value is what it comes down to.
Yeah, I always look at the position up top, whoever's above them. If I take these value plays, how many points will I lose out on if I don't play this guy? And when I look at other positions, there's a lot more points that I feel that I'm worried that I could lose points out, fantasy points from, if I play lower guys, cheaper guys at that position. That's why I feel more confident at shooting guard.
Do want to mention, though, Thaddeus Young did request a trade, and so people are going to see that and may think that he might not be playing tonight. But according to Liberty Ballers and all the other places, it was a few weeks ago, I think, that he requested that trade. So I think I have that right.
He also said that It says Thaddeus Young told reporters his agent has kept him up to speed on potential trades and rumors, but said there's nothing more. He said he's here 110%. So that's another note right there.
Let's get to this rapid fire. Perfect. Let's do the rapid fire max.
Oh, this reminds me. What do we have those arguments we had written down from last week somewhere? Because I think you owe DeMarcus Cousins an apology.
I do?
Yeah.
I thought it was Dave that owed him an apology.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
No?
We'll have to go to the tape, but I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you guys go to the tape, because if I'm not doing anything.
That whole segment. I just kept my mouth shut through that whole segment. I agree with that.
Let's take a look at the rapid fire, if you guys wouldn't mind. Drummond versus Williams. D. Will. This is an interesting one, but I'm going D. Will.
Wow, this is a hard rapid fire. It looks from eyeballing. I'm going to go Darren Williams as well. But
yeah, I'm sorry, Mike. I'm going Darren Williams too, though.
Oh, all three on Darren Williams. Something might be up. Another player in the Charlotte-Detroit game, Jefferson versus John Henson.
Johnny.
This is another tough one. I'm gonna ride the guys that I really like tonight, though. So John Henson.
Me too. I like John's upside tonight.
Let it go, Dave.
I'm not saying anything.
Well, how do you feel, Dave?
No, I mean, we all know about Mike's Buck Love. But no, I will go John Henson as well. So I will ride him with you if you don't mind, Mike.
I guess.
Okay. I'll ride him. How's that? DeMarcus Cousins versus Paul George.
Oh, look at this. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh man, you guys are forcing me to answer this. Paul George.
Cousins. I'm going against the grain here. I'm going with Cousins.
You know what? I might actually join you.
What, last week you guys gave me a hard time.
Dave, when you say join you without a name behind it, who are you referring to?
The guy who just spoke before I did.
Oh, we both did.
So I'm going on Cousins.
Okay, just to clear it up.
D12 against Brandon Jennings.
Ugh.
That's just a sick one.
That's tough. I don't know.
I'm going Dwight.
I just hate his matchup, but I think he's safer. Yeah, I'll go D12 too, but I don't really feel confident in this one.
Yeah, I don't really like either guy tonight in cap games.
I'm going Brandon Jennings. Dwight Howard against the Pacers. I'd much rather go against the Bobcats with Brandon Jennings.
Brendan, if he wasn't turning the ball over 9 times a game, and he just had a great game, but he'd be playing. His lines would be incredible if he didn't have 6-7 turnovers in every game over the past 5 weeks.
He's going to shoot like 4 for 15 tonight, and Dwight will just win by default.
By rebounds alone.
Yeah.
Giannis or Terrence Jones?
Ooh. That's
Giannis.
Definitely. Antetokounmpo.
I call him Antetokounmpo, and
it doesn't fit in the screen. Look at that.
I will go with Antetokounmpo as well. $11 to win, $200. Bam, mark it down. Visit DraftDay.com and play in the Rapid Fire Max. DraftDay.com, sponsoring the Fantasy Insider Show since December 1st of 2013. Let's get to some questions in the chat. Thoughts on Andrew Bynum? Already talked about him. His upside is limited, but he just does so much in the time that he's given. So with his salary, he's definitely a value play. Rubio or Teague in a large field GPP. I think we're all on Rubio tonight, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So we're running the train on Rubio for sure. D Wade or Dirk?
Ooh,
Wade.
man, that's tough. Yeah, I'll go with Wade too, but I think they're really even. I don't think you can go wrong with either of them tonight. However, neither of them are really top options for me. But I don't see 35, 40 fantasy points as a stretch for either of them.
Yeah, I'd probably go Dirk just because we talked about earlier the value at shooting guard. So with that being said, I would give the nod to Dirk. So yeah. Thoughts on J.J. Hickson tonight? He had a pretty good night the other night. Has a decent matchup tonight against Phoenix and those big men. What are your thoughts on J.J., Dave?
Yeah, he's looked good recently, but at the same time, we've talked about all the value available. We've talked about we've talked about, how much is to offer tonight at a moderate price. So I'm not sure I see a reason to really gamble on Hickson, but I don't think he's a bad play either. I just think that there's better options.
Mike?
Yeah, I'm in agreement. He hasn't played 30 minutes in his last, 10 games or so. I just think on a large slate Friday night, I'd rather take someone who's more assured minutes, especially at the power forward position.
Definitely. Thoughts or no? Which Lakers big do you guys trust the most? It has to be Pau Gasol. You're kind of rolling the dice with the other guys. Hill might have a decent game. So.
Oh my God, I had Jordan Hill the other night.
Oh, what did he play? 4 minutes? 7 minutes?
He was in foul trouble, but he still should have played more.
3 fouls, and then he came in the second half and immediately set an illegal screen, and that was it. I mean, 4 fouls in 7 minutes.
Let's talk about something else.
You're done for. Let's see. On a night with so much value, getting LeBron and Love in a lineup a good play for 50-50s. Again, it all depends on the positional value. So I don't have a problem at all playing Love tonight. LeBron a little bit too risky for what his price tag is. But for the value at the shooting guard and small forward spots, I don't have a problem with going Love and what could be a monster game for him. Agree or disagree, Mike?
I'm on the same page. Give me Love on sites like FanDuel and DraftKings, but LeBron I don't think is worth it when you've got Paul George at small forward and some other cheaper options.
Give me Love. Give me Love.
Did he say pairing him in a 50-50? Is that what he said? Pairing Love and
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessary because you're just looking to hit 50%, the top 50%. So I don't see. I mean, that's more of an upside play right there for a GPP where you're throwing in 2 studs, and loading up on value. So I'm not sure I see that. I mean, in a GPP, I think LeBron's always worth a shot because, his upside's immense. But at the same time, I'd rather play a balanced lineup in a 50-50.
Davis says Pekovic ? Super cheap on FanDuel.
Sounds like he's looking for validation.
Yeah. So he's not a bad play.
Yeah. 8 points the other night. I mean, he's been playing well.
Yeah. Horford or Millsap? Let's talk about this Hawks Jazz game for a quick second. Dave, I know you had some thoughts. I'll let you talk, and then Mike, you can follow him.
Well, I'm a believer of the revenge factor. And, as little as it may be, he's playing his old team. I prefer him to be playing in you. All right, Dave, I'll see you later. Guess it's me and you. Yeah, I like Millsap a lot tonight. He's been playing strong. Did he sit the whole fourth quarter last game? I think he did. I think he sat out the whole fourth quarter. But I might be wrong. Anyway, I just think he's a good play tonight, and he's been really solid. But at the right price, I like him. At $8,000 on DraftKings, I think that's the most I'd pay for him. I don't think any more.
He's back.
I'm not sure any more than that. Mike, what do you think?
My problem with Millsap is just price. He's more expensive than other guys I think are better values at power forward. I'm either paying up for Kevin Love or You've got John Henson for cheaper. You've got, I think David West is a guy we didn't talk about. His price has fallen to a point where pretty much just needs an average game.
No.
What?
No. Do not play David West tonight.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of him either.
Mike, don't do
Did I
it.
miss something?
If you play David West, you're basically like subscribing to the theory that you want to be mediocre in life.
Yeah, well, he's priced at a lot of places where he just needs, like on Star Street, his value threshold is equal to his average game, and then you're got the Pacers playing way up in tempo against Houston. You guys are going to eat your words on David West.
Well, all I know is tonight you will see how the West was lost.
Oh,